Hello, fellow gamers, and welcome to the Video Gamers Podcast. There's nothing quite like gaming drama to get gamers fired up, and this week we've got the tea on Nintendo and Bungie, and word on the streets is things might get heated. But before the fireworks start, some introductions are in order. I am your host, Josh, and joining me, you can find him trying to trick Darth Vader into saying, "May the fart be with you." It's Ryan.
I didn't even think about that, but I saw him the other day, and I was pretty excited to mess around with Vader. So
yeah, we'll get to Vader here in a little bit. And joining us, Rockstar might be saying Grand Theft Auto 6 will be the best thing the world's ever seen, but he says the same thing every morning to his bathroom mirror. It's John.
That is not entirely inaccurate. Wake up, Flex.
Yeah.
Doing all right today, man. Doing good, old man.
Looks like I lost a little bit of water weight overnight. Oh boy, guys, we got some drama. Not only do we have some drama, we got a lot of drama to talk about this week. Man, some weeks we got all kinds of like awesome game trailers to talk about, game reveals, other stuff. This week, the gaming world has just decided we didn't have enough drama, guys. We you know what? We're going to be talking about theft of artwork and, Bungie. We're going to be talking about Nintendo and the Switch 2 and a crazy thing that they might be doing. We're going to talk about how gamers trick AI and try to interact with Darth Vader. We're even going to talk about meeting your deceased loved ones in VR, man. This is going to be an interesting show, if nothing else, man, because these are some interesting kind of deep subjects. But hey, man, this is what the gaming world is a buzz about. We kind of started talking about some of this before recording because it's definitely people have various opinions on a lot of these things too. So I'll tell you what, let's just get to it. Boys, Nintendo, we've been talking about Nintendo a lot lately,
We are, and hold on, I think, the way you guys always go at it, I think there should be a kind of like an announcement, and you guys can just face off and go at it, however you want to do it, but I will give you a little intro here for you guys. Ooh. So, in the red corner, the Nintendo sympathizer who specializes in using logic and reason to defend the almighty Nintendo. It's John.
Oh, I got it. I'm a fighting, scrapping, Nintendo loving machine. You got nothing on me, Josh. I got you.
And in the blue corner, he specializes in using excitement and being loud to prove his point, and is an anti-establishment fighter known as Joe.
Get your hands out of my pockets, Nintendo. Quit trying to rob me blind. If I bought it, it's mine.
That's it. You're bricked.
Oh, dang.
Okay, so Ryan, let's get a little context on the nature of this argument here. What are we arguing about?
So, in all Nintendo's glory, they decide to just, do something a little bit more crazy again. Have you guys ever, heard of your friends, family, people that that like to just do a little bit of mods to systems, change things a little bit? It's your property, you bought it, you can do what you want with it, right?
Yep. What?
Not according to all glory to Nintendo. They will now brick your system, making it essentially a paperweight if you violate their terms of service and agreement, which they recently altered.
Oh,
what do you guys think?
My goodness.
Okay, shall I open?
No, please.
So, first of all, this type of thing is not unheard of. If you buy and own a firearm and add a bump stock, in most states, that is illegal. You get that removed. If you were to buy and own a vehicle and you put in an unsafe brake system, that would no longer be a legal situation. With Nintendo, you are not just buying a Switch. You're not just buying a console. you are buying a ecosystem that Nintendo helps to supply. You may own that physical device, but when you begin to alter that physical device, you become a potential liability to the community that you're buying into. And there's the practical concern, the very practical concern that I will take any corporation's side on this, is that if you begin to mess with the hardware in a way that it is not intended for, you create customer service liability, which then costs them money. If you mod it incorrectly in some way, you have messed with the fundamental software parameters of the device, and then it becomes a very murky situation for them to try and hold up their warranty if you should complain, even if it is your fault or not.
I want to jump in too already.
Please.
I'm like,
All right, first of all, boo! Boo! Corporate sympathizer. Boo!
company man. Ah.
Okay. Allow me to address your first 2 points. When you buy a bump stock, you are making a weapon more lethal than it is intended to be to a wider number of potential, in this case, people. This is why bump stocks are outlawed. When you modify your brakes, you are saying that you are making your vehicle unsafe towards other people. So there are safety concerns with these sorts of things.
And those are both federal and state level issues.
Yes, and those,
as well, not a private entity.
And those issues are there for the safety of the common people, to protect them against these sorts of modifications causing damage and bodily harm to other people. If I buy a car and I want to put, whatever leather seats in my car, or modify it with a cold air filter, it put nitro boost on it, whatever. That's my car. I paid for it. I own it. It's mine. I can do whatever the heck I want to do to it. If I want to roll it with house paint to change the color of it, I can do that because it's mine. I own it. Now, if I break it in that process and I take my car to the dealership and I say, hey, man, my car's not working right, and they open it up and they're like, dude, you modified this. This isn't covered under warranty. I'm going to go, oh, yeah, you're right, because your warranty specifically implies what's covered and isn't covered. So if I screw it up, that's my fault. But to say that I am purchasing something, but I am not purchasing the physical product at that point, I am purchasing the rights to use this product, which is what Nintendo is saying. That is shady, scummy. Now I feel like I'm at the used car lot with the guy that's slapping the hood going, this baby gets 50 miles to the gallon if you get out push. What the heck is Nintendo doing, man? They are so anti-consumer at this point. Nintendo.
That is absolutely not. That is
they absolutely
categorically incorrect.
No, because listen, here's the thing. You can't tell me that if I buy your product that I'm not allowed to modify your product at that point. Where does it stop? Can I put a screen protector on there? Because that's modifying the product.
Josh, I used to own a business with 120 people that did $40 million a year in revenue. This is exactly what I'm talking about. When we had customers who would, for instance, put what they wanted to be a sound barrier around an HVAC unit that we put outside, they would do it with the best of intentions. But really what they were doing was they were restricting the air exchange, and the unit, the compressor would die early.
That's their fault.
Okay, it's their fault, but then they would say, well, you never told me this specific thing.
Don't be an
XYZ.
idiot.
But hold on, but your
Josh,
company.
We're talking about a world where irons have to put a safety disclaimer on the side of the box so people don't iron their clothes while it's on their body.
I do not.
People are dumb.
Yes, they are.
Common sense doesn't exist. Like Nintendo as a company, as a big company with a target on its back, working in the entertainment industry, whatever you want to call it, has the legal right to protect its intelligence, its IP. The Switch ecosystem includes proprietary software, hardware, services. These things, when people start to tamper with them, circumvent built-in protections and often lead to pathways for cybersecurity problems. If nothing else, if we're not talking about physical security, We're talking about the security of people's information, the security of people's ability to play a game without having to worry about whether somebody's got like an auto aim mod or something in a multiplayer game. The system is designed to work in a particular way that Nintendo can monitor the safety of it, and any tampering with it outside of that creates liability. And the most important thing here is that I won't say this for, like, if we're talking about hardware mods, something like more or less harmless from a consumer standpoint, of people like putting in their own joysticks or buttons that have a response that is more ideal for them or whatever. Like my buddy CJ modifies arcade sticks. It's like a hobby of his. But the grand majority of people who do this stuff do it to get, like, what do they call them?
They do it
like
for like
emulators.
Most of the modding community is right. Yeah, I get why people mod them.
Okay, which is theft. It's categorically theft. Like,
but when like you find out Mr. Smith has built
wait, Ryan, tag me out, buddy. Boom.
You find out Mr. Smith has modified like the exterior of his HVAC unit that's going to cause warranty issues or damage. You don't go, oh no, he didn't, and you go and pull his compressors and be like, yeah, now your system doesn't work anymore, sucker.
Yeah.
You let it breaks, and you say, hey, I'm sorry you did this. It's not covered.
Right, but that's just because it's not an option. Nintendo is doing this so that there is a deterrent from people even trying.
Sure.
If I trust
Nintendo's
me, bro,
doing this because they're evil. They're evil.
It is not.
I'm
evil.
actually more on John's side than I thought I would be, though. But
it is corporate responsibility.
No. Okay.
If I was installing people's HVAC systems, and especially the guarantees that we put into our systems, we're giving people a 2-year, 100% money back guarantee. But if somebody like could just mess with it and then blame it on us, like that would be a problem. I would have absolutely in a second started installing technology that broke if a customer tampered with it. Like if there was some key that only allowed us to modify it and therefore maintain the integrity of our own warranty and guarantee, you can bet your bouncy booty that I would have done that 100 times out of 100.
So if this is truly because of liability issues and not Nintendo being a greedy corporate giant that has completely lost its way to gamers, then why aren't Xbox and PlayStation doing this? You don't see Xbox and PlayStation going, we're going to brick your system, losers, if you try to modify it.
It's because that is a newer technology. Like, for instance, the original Xbox was basically a dummy computer in a shell. Do you guys remember that? The
Sure,
original
yeah.
Xbox.
Yeah, the box, yeah.
Okay. Had they the technology at that time to be able to brick wall somebody from modifying their hardware, I guarantee they would have done it. Absolutely.
The technology exists. Why aren't
They're
they
not doing
it
it now, though.
Yeah. If it's truly liability, Microsoft, I don't know which company has a higher valuation, but I'm going to assume Microsoft has a higher valuation than Nintendo. You think this would be priority one for them if it's truly a liability issue for them to go, oh my gosh, guys, we got to protect ourselves. This is absolutely 100% because they do not want people modding things. And I get that it is a deterrent for people, but for a company to say that if you mess with it, we are going to brick it. We are going to push the little red button that nukes this system to make it unusable is absolute overreach in my opinion, and it is taking advantage of the fact that the end user license agreement, the EULA, nobody reads these things, dude. Nobody. How many games have you just clicked the let me into the game button so that you can play the freaking game? This is not Nintendo being like, man, we don't really want to get sued. This is absolutely Nintendo going, we don't want you to be able to do this because it takes money out of our pocket. If we allow you to modify it and turn it into an emulator, you can put 1,000 games on this thing, and now you're not buying our $60 overpriced games that are 4 years old.
You can steal 1,000 games and put it on our... that is what you're saying.
Yeah, but it's not the company's responsibility to police its users.
A lot of those games are Nintendo IP.
It's not their responsibility, though. This is the thing. It's not Nintendo's
It is their right. It is their right to protect their IP. It is their product. They can do whatever they want. It is a legal right. Whatever your moral qualms about this are, this is the beauty of a free economy, Josh. If you don't like it, buy something else.
Well,
no problem.
I'm going to, because at this point, I am not buying a Switch 2.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure though,
really sad.
I mean, with the legality of it, I'm pretty sure from what I read also that in their terms of service now they put in there that you can't sue them.
Yeah, exactly.
So if that happens, you can't come back. So
why do you think they did that?
What they're doing is a little. But I will say
you can sue anybody for anything.
It just won't go very far,
regardless of what you sign.
I do see John's side a little bit more than I thought I would, but I think it's the accumulation of Nintendo just over decades of, you can tell they're always just sticking it to the consumer with how they run everything and how their games are and stuff. You can't, come on, at least a little bit.
And here's
at least a little
here's
bit.
the difference.
They're not sticking like again.
They're sticking it.
They're
not sticking it where the sun don't shine anymore.
You don't have no. This would be one thing if what we're talking about was like some totalitarian regime where you didn't have the option to do something. Dude, if you don't like the way Nintendo operates, go somewhere else.
For sure.
Nintendo is operating in the way that they feel is going to allow them to be able to produce and protect the best IP that they know how. Nobody knows everything, man. I mean, like, bro, I just had this debacle at Fry's, which is a Kroger store today, where they hid all of their batteries behind a like, you have to get an associate to get the batteries because it's a high shrink item. But it took us 10 minutes to get somebody over there. That's the most inefficient thing. But dude, companies are just doing the best they can to be able to protect their assets. Nintendo's no different. It is a company full of people. They have profit is not the meaning of life, just like blood, or meaning of business, just like blood isn't the meaning of life. But money is a requirement for business, just like blood is a requirement for life.
You know what else
and
is
Nintendo has to be able to protect their bottom line. Big companies go under all the time, guys.
You know what else is a requirement? For your customers to actually like you and your product. You know, and guess what? When you start smacking your customers around and saying, we're going to brick your system because we are policing what you do with this product that you paid for. If that's the case, then let me rent the system. Let me rent it.
I seem to remember a little video that we recorded about Donkey Kong being like the launch title for Switch 2 and how we were just flaming it.
Yeah.
And I do remember a lot of Nintendo people coming to the there surely are Nintendo fans out there.
Oh, there's fans of Nintendo, but yeah, exactly. But see, here's the problem is that a lot of people
don't have to be one.
A lot of people don't care. If I had a Switch, I've never modded a Switch in my life, dude. It's more see, I'm a man of principle, you know, and for me, this principle that Nintendo wants to keep their hands in my system that I bought and paid for and try to tell me what I can do with my property at that point, I have a serious issue with. Now, if you're telling me that I can't buy it and that this is just a lease or a rental at that point, then that's fine. Let me pay $20 a month for your Nintendo Switch. And at that point, you have every right in the world to say, hey, because you're not actually owning this and you're renting it from us, we get to have a say in what you do. I can understand that principle. But when you say, hey, give me $450 for this console, oh, okay. And by the way, after the transaction, because guess what? When I go to the store and I give them my $450, they don't make me sign something that says, Josh, do you understand that you can't do this, this, and this? And you understand that when you give us this money that you are agreeing to this, you don't know this until you get home and you try to boot it up. And now Nintendo says, hey, welcome to the Nintendo Switch 2. By the way, accept this agreement. I've already given my freaking money to you. How are you going to spring this on me after the fact?
It's the principle. Josh wants to be able to steal.
If you want to break this,
Nintendo has made their money. You got my money. I can freaking take a dump on the Switch 2 if I want to. It's my Switch 2 at that point. You don't get to tell me what I can do with my property at that point. If I want to mod it and break it apart and then try to file a warranty claim and say, Nintendo, your product sucks, it broke, guess what? They're going to say, fine, send it to us. And I'm going to send it to them and they're going to go, you took a dump on this, Josh. This isn't covered under warranty. And I'm going to go, oh, yeah, you're right. I did. Okay, cool. My bad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, every single customer goes, oh, yeah, you're right. That's not how it works, Josh. The customer will bully the company until they get what they want. That is how this works in actuality. But let's take your argument, okay? Let's take your argument. When you buy a Nintendo Switch or any other console for that matter, yes, you do own that hardware. You do not own the software.
I understand that.
Okay, so when you are modding, most of the time, what you are doing is you're modifying the software and the operating platform, which you do not own. If we're talking about ownership, there's your argument right there.
That's a fair point, John. I don't like it, but it's a fair point. It is. Listen, man. This is
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, this is one of those things where it actually. I was hoping John. I knew about the software issue, and I was really hoping John didn't bring this up, man.
Come on, he's too slick for
it's
that.
like Windows, dude. If I pirate Windows, guess what they do? They say, hey, you have to have an activation key, and then I got to get creative and find an
14
activation
days.
key. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I get that the software is their property and they have to maintain it. They have to update it. And if you change it, that can cause some issues. Here's the biggest problem for me. Nintendo has just gotten greedy. And I know you hate that term, John, because it's like, hey, this is a company trying to make profits and things like that.
Define greedy.
Okay, so I'm going to sell you an Amiiboy. What's the Amiibo?
You don't make $4 billion net revenue if
the
you're not
Amiibos,
greedy.
right? Where the little figurines that it's like, hey, we're going to sell these for $40. You can tap it on your Switch and a little character pops up on the screen and throws confetti at you. And I get, if I'm a fool and I pay $40 for one of these things to watch confetti pop up on the screen, that's fine. That's my money. I can do what I want with it. But the thing is, Nintendo has moved from this let's make games for gamers that are awesome and iconic and all this to let's see how we can soak as much money as humanly possible out of people, restrict the access they have to their own machines at that point. It's like taking away the game cartridges. There's no such thing as a game loaded on the cartridge now. You have to buy the little game key. It still comes as a cartridge, but there's no actual game info on that cartridge. Why is that? Because they don't want resale market, because they make more money when people have to buy these keys at that point. Every decision they make is the quest for the almighty dollar for them. It has zero to do.
Every company. That's
every company. I disagree, man.
Yeah, no, Josh, by that same logic, it would be like, okay, well, Xbox has an unfair advantage because they're going into cloud and they've been doing such a good job of like making everything available.
They're putting all these games on Game
Pass.
But
they shouldn't do that. They're just chasing the dollar. They should just
If that's
die.
the case, then why are they putting premier games on Game Pass day one at this point? They could easily say, dude,
because it's smart. It's smart.
Because gamers like
if you want to talk,
I wouldn't buy Game Pass if I couldn't play these games. If I don't get the good games day one, I'm not paying for Game Pass at that point. If you're giving me crap games, guess what? I'm not going to pay for that.
Yeah, but what all you're saying is that their particular value statement matches what you value. And Nintendo's is different, and that's okay.
Oh.
You don't have to value what Nintendo does.
I don't value what Nintendo does.
You obviously have you are a person who wants there to be no consoles, no console exclusivity. Is what you're
okay,
saying.
that's
many
fair.
times.
I like consoles.
Well, right, but that is counterintuitive to business. That you can't, if you commoditize gaming, that's socialism.
But then why are
basically.
they okay? So with no console exclusives, why are they moving away from console exclusives? If that's the case, like you're seeing PlayStation, especially Xbox, releasing things simultaneously at this point. The days of exclusives are going away because these companies are realizing that they can make a lot more money selling these products to a wider variety of, or like a wider market of people than only the people that have a PS5 or only the people that have an Xbox.
This is a market variance, guys. So number one, I want to address a point here. There's a couple of reasons that Nintendo is looking to phase away, just like everybody is looking to phase away from physical product, is that when you create physical product, there is costs of goods involved. And now you have to manage inventory, you have to manage return cycles. It is costly and oftentimes unnecessary. People don't buy physical media as much as they used to anymore. But if you're selling physical media, you have to produce it, you have to package it, you have to ship it, you have to manage it with the people that you're shipping it to, and then you have to track whether or not that physical item is selling. You have to manage store presence. There's a whole like complication that comes with it, and people are just moving away from it. It is just the way the economy is working. So the fact that they are like going behind now game keys and that kind of thing, I think that is the status quo.
So they streamlined it and charged more.
Yeah, exactly.
So
wouldn't it be easier to just pay?
okay,
Sorry,
but
I'm done.
Listen,
I'm done.
Hold
on, we've gone like 25 minutes on this.
Make your final
ahead,
point,
John.
John, and then we got to move on.
My final point is that this is cyclical. Okay, when for instance, Blockbuster went under, Hollywood Video went under, physical movies started to go under. You started to see this surge in online distribution, mostly through Netflix. And we go, oh man, there goes the end of like studio exclusivity. Like all your Disney stuff is there, your Paramount stuff is there. All the other studios, they're all showing stuff on Netflix. And then people started saying, well, like we lose a lot of money by just giving everything to Netflix. We should have our own thing. And then now you have all of these different online services.
It is the worst.
It is the worst, but that is how people make money, right? That is the wonderful thing about capitalism, is that it is a free market and things live and die based on the dollars that they create. So if you don't like Nintendo, the best thing you can do is don't buy a Nintendo product. The market will sort itself out. But there's a lot of people right now that like Nintendo.
But here's the thing, too.
They're doing anything fundamentally wrong.
Here's the thing, too.
Josh, final point.
Vote with your wallet. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I don't even mod things, dude. I have zero intention of modding a Switch 2 at all. This is just simply, guess what? Voting with my wallet. I don't like the business practices. I don't think they care about the gamer. I will not buy a Switch 2 based on those principles. It's kind of like Ubisoft. I'm not buying an Ubisoft game because I don't like the way Ubisoft operates at this point, you know? And so you're right. It is a choice. And for all the people out there that are excited about the Switch 2 and could care less, I honestly, it doesn't really make a difference to me. I'm not planning on modding it. It's just the move towards this is what we care about. We don't care about gamers. We don't care.
By what measure are you saying they don't
Because
care
every
about
practice
gamers?
that they are implementing is something that is like, we don't care what the customer thinks. We only care what we think. Nintendo only cares about Nintendo, which is why they're putting all these practices into place.
There's nothing behind that. That's your opinion.
I mean, that's what this whole show's about, John.
Well, right, but like you could very easily say the same about any company trying to make money.
Dude, there are a lot of very goodwill companies out there that absolutely will do whatever they need to do. I don't want to like product placement.
Arizona Iced Tea.
Yes, Arizona Iced Tea, like Athletic Greens. Like this is a very expensive supplement thing where one day, like I got like they will absolutely, customer service takes precedence over anything else. The company I work for, dude. If anybody has a problem with anything at all, we love our customer base so much that I will absolutely, at the cost of profit and money, make sure that those people are happy no matter what, dude. Even if it means we lose
class
a little
action
bit
lawsuits have you been a part of?
One.
Well, I won't name.
We got sued.
Entity.
Yeah, it was a website issue. It was dumb. It was predatory. Somebody knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that type of class action lawsuit, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's because your website wasn't ADA compliant or something along those lines. Yeah, okay. That's a well-known predatory practice from doctors or whatever.
Yeah.
Nintendo, most big corporations have been part of many of those. And so there is a tipping point when you become an international publicly traded company where you have to start to protect not only your assets, but the assets of the shareholders. Exactly.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is, man. It's all about them.
Costco's sweet.
And again,
Costco's
all
sweet.
about the shareholders,
like
not about the customers, dude. So, all right, let's move on.
All right, we're gonna score this. Let's see here, 99 to 98.
Oh.
And you can submit to the Nintendo Super Score Pass for $9.99 to get the results of who got what.
Yeah. Oh man! All right,
just kidding. Not trying to start anything else up. Let's go. Move on.
Right, we're moving on. That was fun. Okay,
that was really good.
Yeah,
Josh.
it was great, man.
Love you
guys.
guys.
Everybody's like, dude, no.
I was just watching. I wish I had popcorn.
Oh man! For people, I love arguing, and I know John loves to argue.
There's our half hour. By the way.
I don't know how. I look down and we're 30 minutes in, and I'm like, we just got started, man. Well, guess what, people? You're getting a longer episode today
because we got more to cover.
We got more to cover right after this break. Guys, let's talk about a company that maybe doesn't know what they're doing, and that's one called Bungie right now.
Dude, we're trying to go tour the studio this summer. What are you doing?
We love the people at Bungie. Maybe not the corporate Bungie that is just not in a good place right now, dude. Guys, I mean, this is...
Well, do we know what this... So the long and short of it is that Bungie ended up using art that belonged to somebody else in their new game Marathon.
A lot of the art.
Did we determine whether or not that was intentional theft? Because I think that person who did that, who was responsible for it, is no longer there. Or that was my
allegedly this is, so here's the thing. Like, John, if you were a really big company, okay, and like one of your employees maybe like went to somebody's house and like stole a bunch of their stuff out of their house, you would probably fire that employee and be like, oh, they don't represent us. You know, like, yeah, we're going to fire. Yeah. So that's kind of what's going on. Is Bungie is saying this artist that we paid to do art stole all these assets. We didn't know about it, people. They just took all these assets and now we used them in the game. We don't know where they came from. We didn't.
And they're like
we didn't
one
ask.
for one too. It's like
they came from an artist, guys, that used to work for us.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
what would you suggest they do?
I think they compensate the heck out of the artist who got their work stolen, and then say, "Hey, do you mind if we use your art in our game? We're really sorry about this, but we'll pay you. We'll pay you a lot of money for this, because guess what? Most artists don't make a whole lot of money, so it probably wouldn't take as much as you would think."
That?
What's that?
Well,
I was going to say,
I doubt that, because now this person is certainly lawyered up at this point, and the lawyers are probably pushing it,
chomping at the bit.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
I would be willing to bet that Bungie probably had some sort of rational response, like, hey, man, this is a big mess up. I'm sorry. Here's a settlement of a couple $100K or whatever.
So Bungie did come out and apologize. It's funny because I saw the initial tweet from this person that said, "Hey, Bungie stole my artwork." And this was before the poop hit the fan, like legitimately. And I went, wow, really? Like somebody's claiming they stole their art. And then lo and behold, 2 days later, Bungie's responding going like, yeah, this is bad, guys. We didn't know about this. And there's no denying it whatsoever. So they did say, hey, we are very sorry. It looks like one of our artists stole this other artist's work and we've been using it in our game. This is a really bad look for us. They are going into damage control, which is what any corporation would do. I mean, I don't think anybody begrudges Bungie trying to make amends on this. Here's the problem. Bungie is just not in a good place with, and this kind of goes back to companies and their clientele, man. Like, Bungie took a lot of flack with Destiny players for selling expansion content and then pulling it back. Do they have the right to do that? Is there a reason behind that? I'm sure there is, but this does not garner you goodwill with the people that you generally want to sell your product to. Ryan is instantly nodded because he's like, I was there, dude. I was affected by this, And so you protect your reputation at all costs with people, and right now Bungie's reputation is in the crapper, dude. Like, not only from what they did with Destiny and the walking back of content that they sold to people and then pulled away from those people. There was a lot of people that said, hey, listen, Marathon, not doing it for me. Is it an okay game? Yeah, it's fine. Like, I don't think anybody said the game is garbage, but what people have said is it's just not that impressive to me. Why did they make this extraction shooter? And then you put a very bad PR issue on the table along with everything else.
It is bad timing.
It is the worst timing.
Well, for someone who, the amount of Destiny and Destiny 2 that I played and then falling off just because I just got so sick of what Bungie was doing, and I loved them. I was a huge fan and I'd spent thousands of hours playing their IP. Like, when I heard this, I'm like, man, freaking Bungie, and I feel for him because obviously somebody dropped the ball there where one of their underlings did this and they didn't vet it right or check it right. And, things like that happen. Totally get it. And it sucks. But I hope for them that they can figure out a way to manage this and mitigate this issue effectively. Because I don't want anyone to fail or not succeed. And I just think with Marathon, it just keeps stacking up. After Destiny, now Marathon, and then it was already getting lukewarm reviews, and then the sweats aren't going to like it because it's not realistic and tactical enough, and then the casuals aren't going to really buy it as much because they don't like extraction shooters, you know? So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out after all this, and then what lawsuits ensue, so I don't know, we'll see.
I saw an article, I think it was from Forbes, that basically said, hey, Guy talked to a bunch of Bungie insiders, people that he knew. And again, so take this with a grain of salt because it's, a guy writing an article that says, hey, I talked to people that work at Bungie.
Anonymous
And
sources.
what he was saying is...
Major leaker.
Major leaker, is it basically said, listen, the response to Marathon when people got the play test was underwhelming. Then you have this issue with, why did they make this game in this genre? The underwhelming response is tough. I mean, if you're a studio that's been working on a game for 5 years and you're a major studio, and then people kind of come out and go, yeah, dude, your game's just kind of mid. Got a cool art style, but that's about it. Oh, wait, you ripped off the art style from somebody else? Like,
Oh, yeah, it's not even their art.
Yeah, and it's not even your art. And then it's like, dude, it's just, people are saying the morale is at an all-time low. People are worried because if Marathon fails, it's the end of Bungie. And I'll be honest, I don't see how that doesn't happen. If Marathon releases and it fails, Bungie's done, dude. Like, we see the death of a juggernaut in the industry at that point. I mean, there are a lot of people that are saying Sony owns Bungie, and if Marathon fails, Sony's just going to absorb and disband Bungie, and
Look at how quick they're pulling cords on everything nowadays. Like, how many studios or layoffs do you see every month?
Well, look at Concord. Concord came out. I mean, at one of the most notorious epic failures of a game ever. Sony pulled it off the shelves in 2 weeks, dude. 2 weeks. You think they're going to take that chance with Marathon? Like, I think they're going to... So this is what people are saying. Dude, if you really want to try to make this game something, you need to delay it. Marathon is due to release in 4 months, guys. 4 months. Can they turn it around into something that, number one, gamers are going to love, that gamers are going to support? Because if this is stolen assets and a shady company that has a history of pulling content back, where they're not in a good place, they're not in the goodwill of gamers right now, this could be the death knell for them, man. And you couple a terrible PR issue on top of all of the other concerns, it's just a bad place for Bungie, dude. And I honestly, I feel for them. Like I know there's a lot of people.
Yeah, we met with them. They're really cool people. And I just have so much nostalgic love for the Bungie of the past. This is really bad timing. It's really, really bad timing. I don't know what their finances is, so I couldn't say it. Like, Ubisoft, I think, is in trouble. Bungie, I don't know. I don't know if there's just enough weight in the Bungie brand name still to be able to justify keeping it alive. I don't know what else they have in the pipeline. I will say that this is something economically that's always been very I've been very curious about in the gaming industry, is that it seems that you would be able to tell whether a game or not was like a good product, a good solvent financial decision much earlier than a couple of months pre-release. It just seems like such an interesting thing to me. I say this about Game of Thrones a lot, I loved that show. It was on the air for 10 years. I invested 10 years of my life into that show, only for that last episode to hit. I was there right until the last episode, and then I felt cheated out of 10 years of my life.
And you're doing it again with Last of Us. Poor guy.
Well, I've got a comment. But with the Game of Thrones, I'm like, it just seems like if you had one or two really avid fans in the decision-making council, whatever you want to call it, to say guys, this isn't going to fly. The people that you are catering this to aren't going to like this. We have to stop or pivot hard.
This egos, man.
This is the major issue that we have been talking about for years now with the AAA studios. When you get these suits involved in game development, it is not good, dude, because it becomes profit over product at that point. And that is not good, dude. Gamers are smart. I mean, We are a smart bunch of people. We are a highly opinionated bunch of people. And we can see it, dude. We can absolutely feel the passion. Look at Expedition 33, dude.
I was going to bring that up.
Is there a game that just oozes more development passion than that game? You know, and then you cross-reference that to Skull and Bones, which Ubisoft released and called a quadruple A title, but it was made by Suits, man. There's nothing. There's no passion. There's no nothing in that game. And guess what game is going to be remembered and which game cost some company millions of dollars to be a gigantic flop at that point? When you get the corporate suits involved, that's when things go south, because again, it's all they're focusing on at that point, you know? So, all right. All right, let's move on, guys. So
Are you sure? Are you sure you guys aren't done?
Yeah. All right. So we got
3-hour
time for one more
episode
story.
inbound.
All right, let's just decide this right on the air, okay? We can talk about the crazy Korean VR firm that lets you meet your deceased loved ones in VR, or we can talk about gamers taking advantage of Darth Vader's AI in Fortnite.
Oh, those are both so good.
Oh boy,
The Vader thing seems quick. I'm actually really intrigued with this VR question, but this is a trio. I'll let you guys decide.
I think the VR question is interesting. So I'll tell you what, let's cover the VR thing real quick, and then we'll just give our brief thoughts on Vader. How about that? Because we have to.
Great.
Okay. So, because again, this follows on the heels of Expedition 33 for people that have beaten the game and played it. So no spoilers coming, but it is fitting to what's going on in the gaming world. So there was an article that a Korean VR firm created this experience where you can go into VR and interact with your deceased loved ones. And the example that they gave in this case is a mother and her 10-year-old daughter who died from an illness suddenly. And they actually have video of this where you see the mom in a VR headset, and then you see the daughter kind of walk out, you know, from behind something and start talking to the mom in the daughter's voice. She looks exactly like the daughter. I'm going to be honest, man. I watched this video at work today, and I literally started getting choked up because as a parent, I cannot imagine the pain of losing a child, number one, but then to like see your child represented in VR and hear their voice and have that like ability to interact with them. I don't know if there's a part of me that's like, dude, there are people that would give anything for this experience, but then there's a part of me that goes, this is not a good way to deal with this, man. Like grief is a weird thing. And you know, again, in Expedition 33, it kind of touches on grief. We're not going to get into spoilers, but I mean, that is a major underlying tone in the game with the gommage and everything else. People that have beaten the game, you understand what we're talking about. If you haven't, go play Expedition 33. So the question is like, what do you think about this, man? There's a part of me that kind of recoils and goes, oh, you shouldn't do that. But then there's a part of me that's like, oh my goodness, dude, like this mom got something that maybe she desperately needed from this experience too.
I certainly don't think this is any weirder than open casket funerals when you're hovering over a corpse. I am frankly all for this stuff, man. I am probably in the 10% of the population that is like, hook me up, put me in the Matrix, like chip me, do all that stuff, take all this stupid weak flesh off of me. Like I'm so acutely aware of my mortality that like anything I can do to escape it, I'm in favor for. I think that there's this this kind of thing helps us get closer to some sort of biological immortality where we're able to maintain our consciousness past our normal lifespan, and I'm 100% for it.
Ryan, what do you think about this, man? How does this hit for you?
Okay, so for me, as someone, you know, and this is not a shade at anyone who doesn't have children, but when you have a kid, it's something where you truly learn what love is, and you understand. Like, I loved my wife more than I can ever imagine. And the second we had our son, like, I would push her in frund of a bus if it meant saving my son's life. You know, like
we are recording this. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, she would do the same, and I would be mad if she didn't. Like, that's the way you feel about a child. And knowing me and how much like I see friends here and there, and I'll go golfing with buddies and stuff like that, but my son is my best friend in the world. And my daughter, I love her to death, and we hang out and we have a great relationship. If either one of my kids died and I had to see them in VR, I would never leave.
Yeah.
Because that's what it would be. And I could never, ever, ever do that, because there's no way you could pull me away from being back with the most important thing that will ever be in my life. So
Dude, I'm even more for this now, right? Because most children irritate the crap out of me and then let people
all right, we're clipping that right
with
there.
their dead kids.
Oh boy, I'm glad I'm the editor on
That
this
takes
episode.
care of all the parents and all the kids, and then me and all my 40-year-old teenager friends can just live our Peter Pan lives forever.
It bears,
this is awesome.
It bears the question that if you could live in the Matrix, would you? You know, and Ryan,
100%.
you basically said if it meant seeing like, my family member that I don't have anymore, I absolutely would. I mean,
No, I would never leave, which is why I would never do it.
right. Okay. So you're
So
saying
I
you knew
would
the
I would
danger of
never
it. Yeah, I
ever
get
do that, because it's not real, man. At the end of the day, it's not real.
My thinking is not having to face this situation, thankfully, is my initial gut reaction is I wouldn't do it. I don't know that it's healthy to be able to do that. And then like, again, the grief process is unique to each person that goes through grief. I think how people deal with it is different. I would be not a good person to handle that. I think I would be very self-destructive, to be honest with you.
I'd disappear, dude.
right.
I would be in the forest for like months.
Yeah,
I'd disappear.
people know themselves, and so it's kind of like how would you deal with that? How you deal with it might be different than how I deal with it, and who's to say the right way, right? But I think that it would be unhealthy for me to revisit that situation and try to get over it in that case, to say, hey, I need to move on with my life, because I'm with you, Ryan. I think that if you got that endorphin rush of like seeing your child again and that interaction and stuff, I think you just put yourself in a very dangerous position to be like, I'm not leaving,
Yeah.
Well, so this is an interesting philosophical question, because I think if you were to go into this VR scenario and the AI is like unconvincing, whatever it is, that the experience doesn't feel authentic, then I feel like there's not really any harm or addictive endangerment. You get in there and go like, that was weird and emotionally unpleasant, and so I'm not going to do it anymore. Or you get in there and you go, wow, that was so immersive. It was like being with my child or my wife or whoever it is again. I can't bear to be without them. I want to spend all my time in the Matrix with them. Then at what point do you go like, that is any less authentic a relationship than with a real tangible human? Like, reality is perspective. And if your reality,
you get to the truth, right? That's the Matrix, because it's like you've been living in this life that you thought was real, and then somebody comes along and says, this is not real. There is a real world out there. Do you want to see it? And I think for me, I would take the red pill and be like, I want to know what the actual real world is. If you're telling me that what I am experiencing is not real, even though it's all I've ever known, I don't know what it is in my brain, but I'm going to be like, I want to see what's real, like plain and simple. Even if that means the end of this, I want to know what the actual truth is, what reality is. It may not be pleasant. And I mean, in the Matrix, it's really not pleasant, but there's just something in me that is like, I would need to know. Maybe it's curiosity. I don't know, but yeah, I would want to know what the actual real world entails at that point. I will say that this experience looked pretty good. I mean, it was the girl's voice. It was AI driven. So they didn't program. The mom didn't know what was going to happen. The saddest thing was at the end of this experience, the little girl lays in bed and the mom's like kind of like trying to like pat her and like tell her goodnight. And then the little girl turns into like a little like butterfly made of light and just flies away. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
like my heart.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, though, man.
It was tough, man. All right. Well, on a different note, guys, let's talk about how gamers have been taking advantage of Darth Vader in Fortnite. This is why I love this.
Good segue. Nice transition,
The hardest
bro.
of pivots.
Yeah.
What other podcast are you going to listen to where you get to hear a heartfelt VR deceased person story followed up by gamers making Vader say inappropriate words in AI, dude?
The best podcast.
Think about what Anakin would have done for his kids, man.
Yeah.
He was going to take over the whole galaxy.
Yeah, that's true.
We just lost every single Patreon
Oh,
subscriber at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
What is going on with these guys? This is
Yeah.
unhinged.
So, guys,
Speaking of unhinged, Vader's dropping some crazy stuff right now.
I'll be honest. I had a buddy at work come up to me today and ask me if I had heard about this Darth Vader AI thing. And I was like, we're actually talking about it tonight, dude. You have to credit the ingenuity of gamers. If we could only use this power for good, that would be great, but we don't. We use it for the most inappropriate things.
We're all children.
The Mythic quest, they talk about TTP, time to... If you've seen the show, you know what it is, but it's basically like if you give gamers a creative tool, how long before they start drawing things that are inappropriate in the game? I mean, this is what gamers do, man. I don't understand why. We all just know that this is what happens. So Vader is in Fortnite. Apparently you have to fight everybody else off to try to get to talk to Vader. He takes you away. I haven't played Fortnite, so if this is wrong, please don't roast me on social media, guys. But, you have to fight Vader, and then if you duel him, apparently then you get to kind of talk to him, and he trains you or something like that. And this is where you get to interact with Vader. And it is an AI language model type thing. Most of these come with protections. Gamers have figured out how to get around those protections. I have seen a hilarious clip right now of gamers getting Vader to say some very inappropriate things. I mean, like on the one hand, you kind of go like, why? But then on the other hand, you kind of go like, yeah. You appreciate the ingenuity on this. I will say one of the funniest clips I saw was Vader actually accusing a guy of cheating, where you can hear the voiceover, and I guess he kind of the voice follows you through the rest of the match that you're in. And it's like Vader starts saying that was an amazing shot. Like some would say you're strong in the Force. Others would say you're using technological achievements to obtain such power, basically saying the guy was cheating.
Yeah.
I think this is great, dude. This is how you implement AI in a fun way in a video game, in my opinion.
If you thought old Call of Duty chats were bad.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I was playing, believe it or not, I whipped out the Backbone, and I was playing Fortnite on the couch on my phone next to my son because he wanted to play a couple matches, which is awesome, by the way. But anyways, there was two people left, and he was playing duos. I had died. It was him and one other guy. And then he shoots Vader on accident. And so then Vader comes charging at him. The other guy comes charging at him, and then Vader ends up killing him, but he's talking during the whole time, and I'm like, holy crap. And right after is when I saw all this stuff, and I was so bummed that we couldn't try to mess with them, and I didn't see this stuff before, because it was cool. You could see him, and he's talking, and he fights you and stuff. So, but, leave it up to gamers to figure out a way to just be, 13 years old.
Yeah.
And just mess with these things.
We never grow up, man.
It's
we
wild.
never grow up. It's the truth. But you know what? Also, don't grow up, man. Just because you get old doesn't mean you got to act all stodgy and uptight and grown up like.
That's gonna be John as Peter Pan world. Neverland.
Oh man.
Peter Pan world full of middle-aged.
Yeah.
Oh man, right? Goodness, guys. Well, this was a fun episode, man.
Are you sure? Are you sure you're done?
Let's hope so.
Are you guys
we're
done?
done? We're done. We went way long on this one. People are like, man, these twigs have really gotten on.
Out of control.
Listen, thank you for hanging out with us. You know what? Let us know what you think about Nintendo and Bungie and dead people in VR and all that. Join our community. Let's talk about it. This is some of the what we love about doing this show is just hearing the other people's opinions. You know, our community is awesome. We love hearing differing opinions. I mean, there's a reason that John and I were like, we're gonna fight. We're gonna fight today, man. Because guess what?
The best thing is that I think if we would have like had a lottery where we chose the other
I could argue.
I bet we would.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
I would have been like Nintendo.
Could have totally argued either side.
But come join our community. Listen, there's a link in the episode description. All you got to do is click that, and you're going to be in the best gaming community on the planet. And you know, if you appreciate this podcast and you're having a good time with us, think about supporting the podcast as well. There is a link in the episode description where you can support this show. It's as little as $5 a month. It really does go a very long way in helping us keep this content flowing and keeping this show independent. And I mean, honestly, Off the Hinges, gaming podcast out there as well. So yeah. So thank you everybody for hanging out with us. That's going to do it for this episode. Until next time, happy gaming.
See ya.
Toodaloo, buckaroo.